so excited, Zach. Are you doing the presentation, or is the
Actually,
soon-to-be applicant?
The soon-to-be applicant.
Excellent.
It's-
Hello, hi applicant.
All right.
We got 3 minutes. Thank you, Zach. I'd just like to call the Oxford Plan Commission meeting of June 9th, 2026 to order. And then I'm looking at our current agenda. Does anyone have anything to change about the current agenda?
Nope.
Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Excellent. And that has been recorded.
And you should say all in favor.
All in favor, say
Aye.
aye. Anyone not in favor, say nay. Thanks, Bill. And then the approval of the minutes. Would anyone like to?
I'd like to move approval of the minutes of May
Excellent.
12th.
Second.
All right, everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone not in favor, say nay. Awesome. Next, hello, public. But wait, only if you are saying something that is not on our current agenda at the moment. Okay, well, thank you. And then we're gonna go ahead and go to reports from commission boards, committees, and staff. And do you have any?
No reports.
All right, and Bill,
I don't have any.
Jason?
I could just say that city council today was at the groundbreaking
Of
the-
Clarence Place, yes.
Yes, of Clarence Place, which is Habitat for Humanity. And they're gonna be building about 30 townhomes. And people who are qualified and put in the equity of time can get a mortgage for 0%, which is a really good deal. And it's a 3 or 4 bedroom home with an unfinished basement. So
And that
we were
is-
very excited. This is something Jason and I have been working on since we were elected. It only takes 6.5 years.
I'll take
Yeah,
it.
very wonderful. Jason?
Nothing for me to add.
All right, and then I just was gonna add that I was at Housing Advisory Commission last week, and we went ahead and sent on some proposals for city council, and one of them is that Jessica is planning to have the assistant city manager a RFP for the Western Knolls, 47 acres land. And
Again,
you know, we did have that conversation a little bit. But anyway, so again, and that is definitely something that we'd like to see move forward with as soon as possible, especially since there's currently like some zoning irregularity as far as having that happen easily without a planned development. That is all that I have. What about you, Zach?
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair Rosenberg. Just wanted to take a moment to share with the commission a brief but significant update regarding the Unified Development Code update, also known as Oxford Today. So at the direction of the city manager's office, the city has decided to shift primary responsibility for the UDC project from in-house staff, that being primarily myself, to an outside consultant. This decision reflects the reality that given the current staffing constraints, the Community Development Department in particular is unable to dedicate the time and resources necessary to produce a high-quality code by the end of the year, while simultaneously fulfilling the day-to-day responsibilities that the director, city planner, and GIS coordinator roles all entail. At this point, I don't have too many more robust details to share on the exact mechanics of this anticipated transition. This was a fairly recent decision that was just made last week. But I do want to stress, though, that a lot of significant work has been accomplished thus far, and I don't imagine this planned pivot is going to diminish or discount that prior progress in any way. Our goal now is to engage a consultant who can build upon the strong foundation that we've already established and carry this work forward to completion. Do want to commend our working group members, Councilor Bracken, Commissioner Webster, and former Councilor Prithridge, for the time and energy that has been spent and that you continue to spend, I might add, to make development code reform in Oxford a reality. And certainly as new details come to light, I'll be sure to share further updates at future meetings. That's all I have to share this evening.
Go ahead, yeah.
Can we ask a bunch of questions?
You're welcome to ask questions.
Awesome.
Yes, I may not have answers just yet, but please feel free.
So will you sort of be the lead over the contractors that we hire to help?
Yes, I
Okay.
believe that's anticipated, yeah, Sam and myself, yes.
Awesome. And we'll keep the same goals and values that we brought into the working group?
I believe that'll be the intent, yes. I don't
And-
think we will be, as of yet, I don't have any indication that we will disband the working group. I think we can continue to meet, but just to put it as, perhaps as bluntly as I can, we just need a workhorse, somebody who can actually spend the time
yeah.
to actually thoroughly write the code. I'm able to do it, it's just, there's a lot of other things on my plate and so many hours in the day to accomplish them. So in order to meet our, the timeline that we want to follow, which is to have a complete draft by the end of the year, this is what needs to be done.
So we'll continue to meet and you'll sort of delegate and provide focus for the contractor group? That's the plan.
Yes, I think that's the plan for now, but if those details change, I'll certainly share
Awesome.
updates.
I have a lot of trust in you and you're really good. And so I want you looking over that and also translating what we've come to work with so far in terms of goals and values and ideas. So that
Yeah,
sounds
so
awesome.
certainly we're not going to be starting from scratch. There's already been quite a bit that's been composed thus far. We have 3 chapters fully drafted, as we discussed at our last meeting, and we're just hoping that somebody can kind of pick up the reins and carry it forward.
Awesome. Thank you.
Do you have a company in mind at this time?
I'd rather not comment along
Yeah.
those lines at this time, just
Cool.
because it's really early. in
Really
that
good,
process.
yep. Okay, well, thank you very much, Zach. And then, just for procedural sake, I mean, this next item is a concept review. Do I need to bring it into, like,
So
public hearing?
This
or-
this is not a public hearing. This is just an opportunity for presentation from a soon-to-be applicant to provide some details on what they hope to submit in the future as a formal submittal for conditional use. So this is really just an opportunity for them to present what they have, and the commission can certainly ask questions and provide feedback informally at this time.
Great, all right, well, thank you. So to the soon-to-be applicant, if you'd like to come forward and just state your name.
My name's Andrew Holsworth, and
Okay.
I'm a lifelong Oxford resident, Talawanda graduate. I went to Miami Hamilton for a little bit, and then I ended up back here in town, and now I'm 4 kids in. I spent the last 17 years of my life pastoring Cobblestone Community Church, and in the last 3, I've started CrossFit Implore, and now Implore Ministries, which is actually who I'm here representing as the president, and then I'll let the other board members introduce yourselves. So thank you for number 1 for your time. The big ask is you guys have a lot of wisdom. You guys know Oxford culture. We're looking at property at 4191 Kerr Road, Cobblestone Community Church. They own a large degree of property. They've agreed to lease us 2.43 acres of that to become potentially the new home of Implore Ministries, which will also house CrossFit Implore. So my big ask is any holes you can punch in the thing, anything that you can see as pitfalls, anything that you just maybe don't even like. I mean, I would love to try to get all your thoughts, because it would be very helpful. So I'm gonna invite my friend and also fellow board member Chad up here, and we're gonna go through a slide deck just to talk about what we are actually asking and give you a kind of bird's eye view.
Hi, I'm Chad Harville, so work with Andrew at CrossFit Implore. I'm also an elder at Cobblestone Community Church. I'm also a civil engineer. I work for the city of Hamilton, so I've helped put together our preliminary site plan and vicinity map that I think you guys have before you. So, yeah.
There is a lease.
So, we're looking at a conditional use permit, for the property there on Kerr Road. And as Andrew mentioned, we're looking at leasing that on a long-term lease from Cobblestone. We do not have that lease in hand yet, but we are in talks with Cobblestone. They're agreeable to that. We just have to work that out, and that will be in place before we actually submit the permit application. 2.43 acres of land, and if you look, I think, do you guys have the vicinity map there in front of you?
We have the one on the left there.
Do you have a bigger version of it there in front of you? No? Okay. So to the north and west of the property is Cobblestone Community Church, which is there. You can see it just above the green area, which is the leased property. To the south is the new bike trail that I think is still almost finished, under construction now. And then south of that is additional Cobblestone property that's vacant land. There's no, at this time, no intended development for that. And then further there to the east is a small neighborhood community. It's about 300 feet or so from the property that we're intending to lease. Next to that is a preliminary site plan, and this is just for use with the permit application. We are currently in talks with several developers that will have an engineer on staff and will actually do building drawings for us that would be submitted later. The intent is to build a mixed-use building that will house both Implore Ministries and CrossFit Implore. It'll be shared access through the Cobblestone property. We've been in talks with the fire chief to look at our parking lot. We are going to have to make it a little bit larger to make room for their trucks to get through. We're going to have to widen that central aisle about 3 or 4 feet, and then our drives off of the Cobblestone property probably a couple feet each, a little bit wider for them to be able to make their turns. There is an existing conditional use permit that Cobblestone has from 2007. So one of our questions, and we've talked with Sam a little bit about this, is whether should it be a modification of that permit, or should we be submitting for a full new permit? The way we've got it structured and what we filled out is the new permit. Cobblestone's permit was for what you see there now, but then also they had originally intended to build another large building between the pond and the parking lot, and then where the green space is that we're leasing was going to be parking lot. That is no longer part of their plan. They don't have any plans to build additional buildings at this time. So one of our questions today would be do we need to change this to a modification, or should we stick with a new permit application? I'm going to turn it back to Andrew, and he'll tell you a little bit more about the Implore Ministry side.
So I'll go real quick, but I just wanted you to know who we are. So as a pastor, 17 years, if I'm going to run a gym, it's going to be with some kind of mindset of like, how do we help people know God? And so Implore Ministries is a 501c3. The whole goal is I want church people to know God. I want unchurched people to know God. I want gym people to know God. I would love the whole world to know Him. And so we want to do that through caring for them physically. We want to care for them emotionally. We want to care for them just in real practical ways. And so the gym and the ministry side kind of meld together. Our mission statement is to create a space for all people to be cared for and loved as image bearers of God by meeting the needs of the whole person, physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and socially. When you look at the building, if you were to look at the building plan, you walk into a shared space. You can go into the gym. You can go into some spiritual direction rooms. You can go into some ministry space. But it really all goes underneath this one umbrella of Implore Ministries, and then branches out to CrossFit Implore, and then the formation side. And when I say formation, everybody's being formed by something. We want to make a space for people to do that towards Jesus. CrossFit Implore As a gym, we have classes, we do nutrition coaching, we do one-on-one personal training, we do fundamentals, and we do a lot of community outreach, things that are in the plan, and why we need a bigger building to reach youth that have maybe been incarcerated and help them not go back into that kind of stuff, because they need places to hang out that aren't parks and like random places like when I was at Talawanda. I think there's a ton of benefits to the community. And one of my favorite things is potentially building a building right along the new bike path to provide places for people to stop, maybe even like a water fountain. And CrossFit is a fitness regime, so being able to run on that. Providing access to wellness. I meet a ton of new people every day at the gym. I think it could be a destination spot like on that trail. Enhance it's just an empty, undeveloped field back there that's been there for the last 20 years, and adding some value to that space. And then one of my big goals, like I said, is number 5, providing places for people to go deeper if they want to in their faith. So we really have seen, I've seen my old high school classmates, I've seen Miami professors, I've seen college students. My 68-year-old mom goes to CrossFit Implore. And so it's one of those places that I'm starting to really hold dear in my heart, and a lot of it's because of these people. I'm married to one of them. The treasurer is my wife, Anna. Chad is the vice chair, and that's our secretary, Nancy, who actually made the slide deck. Thank you, Nancy. So the hope is, once again, a conditional use permit that will allow us to use that land to build a ministry center that also houses a gym. I think that's the perfect summary. I guess I would say any questions, because I think that's the end of the slide deck.
Where you decide who talks.
Yeah, well, you had something to say, and
I
I
did.
would be very happy for you to address
Okay.
these soon-to-be applicants.
Good. I talked to your neighbors out there,
Roberts Drive?
and the Rudolphs,
Okay, yeah, Mike.
and they said you're good neighbors
Oh,
so far, Cobblestone, and they think this sounds like a decent idea. So that's good. What is concerning me, one thing is that there are water issues that are pretty significant, and he showed me some video of the new bike path being completely flooded. And the runoff comes down that hill where that new subdivision was going to be twice, but never did. And it just goes over that. There's no culvert underneath it to take the water to the pond. So it all goes over. And I think you need to think about that and how you're gonna deal with it, because all that water runs into right where you're gonna be building.
okay.
So I think stormwater will be an issue for you. I think that going for a new permit makes sense, because you're gonna have to go through the same steps anyway, so you may as well get yourself a new permit. I don't see any big roadblocks for you. One of the issues, I think, is how you're gonna be entering from Cobblestone.
Correct.
So you're not doing a curb cut from Roberts, which is good. The question is, since you're right next to this residential area, are you going to be keeping trees and foliage as a buffer between
If
your
you-
development and the street
That's a good question.
with, I guess, some kind of a connector so people could bike in and bike out and so forth. So I think that needs to be fleshed out. The other thing that I think would need to be fleshed out is just scale of this thing, given the residential neighborhood that it's next to. I know that when we had a church project that was OBF, and their first proposal was to put this monstrous building
It was
right on the
monstrous.
corner of Chestnut, facing all the residents there, and it would have been horrendous. It didn't look good. It looked like a barn. And through some discussion and reworking, I think they came up with a really nice design that's off of the street, and it looks like a church instead of like a barn, warehouse. So I think you want to be thinking about what is this going to do for the surrounding area? So water runoff, definitely an issue, and yeah, how it interacts with the rest of the neighborhood. And I think when you get some more distinct plans, my recommendation would be to have a talk with the Rudolphs and some of those people, because he's president of that neighborhood association that you're going to be members of.
Okay.
And so you want to make sure that they're very favorable towards this, so. But I think having them on your side going in would be a
good.
good thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Those are my initial thoughts.
Do you have any
Nope.
thoughts? Yeah, some questions. Sorry, pardon me. Okay, I'm fine. Do you have a square footage figured out for this building?
For the building, we're playing around
You
with
know,
like around
approximate.
80 by 100, 120 feet. So
Okay.
that puts, I can do math,
No,
but
it's fine.
not right now.
And then vis-à-vis Mr. Snavely's question, do you have any sort of vision of what it's going to look like yet, or?
I do. I actually have a front facade look, some stonework that'd be on the front, all those design things. But we were kind of hoping more for the conditional use side of that.
Yeah, I mean,
and
it's
then get
early
into
days,
the-
so yeah, I just wondered, and are you gonna work with an architect?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. My other question was, in regard to your arrangements, so you mentioned that this is a lease, a lease, you're going to have a lease. However, who's paying for the construction of the building?
Implore Ministries.
The what?
Who's paying for the building?
Yeah, the building itself.
Implore Ministries would.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, cool. That's all for now, thank you.
All right. I have some things, but you wanted to.
No, I'm good.
Awesome. So I did see the site plan, which, it was kind of hard to see there, but, so I can see that what you're talking about is on a pretty massive scale. And so I want to repeat some, concerns about that scale being right next to a residential neighborhood. Also, as a user of the Oxford Area Trail System, I personally would love it to not, for instance, see a parking lot and a huge, large building through the trees that was not attractive. I would think that, because on your site plan, I was trying to understand it a bit, the parking lot seemed like it was pretty darn right up to the edge of the trail. And even with, a boundary of trees and plants, that's gonna change the landscape quite a bit for people that are on that trail and for people that live in that neighborhood. So I would just say, I love hearing that you have an architect, and that you have like stone facade. And I also love that you talked about having maybe a stopping point where people on the trail can get water or have some kind of interaction with that property that's beneficial. So I would just say that when you come back, that I really would want to see that design, because it's just so huge. And it is currently a field. So it's going to change things quite a bit.
Yeah, I concur with that. The more you can landscape it to be natural and still have access, because I think even your own users probably want to go on the trail because it's going to be a natural setting where they can run and do exercise and everything else. So to connect it maybe, but make it aesthetically fitting with the rest of the trail and the natural orientation of it. That would be great.
Good news is that on the property where they're building those homes, there's a humongous mound of dirt that you may want to, all you gotta do is take down all the trees that have grown up on top of it, but I suspect that the builder would love to have you take it away. And that might be helpful, because I think there's some low spots where you're planning to build.
Hester Road could also use some fill material if it's available.
just as a history comes to mind, I know at one point, part of the plan was to actually, the Cobblestone parking lot was going to go all the way around with a through road to Roberts Drive at one point. And that what, we had asked about it, and then I think that plan got scrapped, and there was like multi-zoned buildings, and that all got scrapped, so. When Cobblestone gave the easement for the trail, it was just like a no-brainer, so that's just like floating in my brain, so. But
Yeah, I don't
appreciate
think you want to have another curb cut over the trail, so
No.
that's why I think it's smart of you to want to have access through
Well,
cobblestone.
when we had met with Sam and Zach, we'd asked, like, do we have to come from Roberts Drive side? Because if so, that's gonna be kind of cost prohibitive. If we can come down the lane, then that'd be awesome. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Anything to add?
Yeah, any other questions that you had or things that were on your mind?
Just as we are looking at different builders, developers to work with, we're looking at different types of structures. Are there any preferences or limits on that from your guys'?
I think it's more a matter of visual scale from the street, Roberts Drive.
Yep.
So it's all about scale and view. What it faces, Cobblestone Church, is really between you and the church. I don't think that's gonna be a real issue.
As far as like a steel structure, wood structure, or hybrid, there's not
I think that's your business.
Okay. a, great.
That's my list of questions. That was, yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else from us? Okay.
I
Go
was just
ahead.
gonna say, you're already working with Sam and Zach, but if you had anything to add to this, please.
I think for the time being, and there hasn't been a real robust staff analysis at this point, just because we haven't gotten that full-fledged submittal yet. But I perhaps do want to ask the commission, would you be inclined to grant a waiver to the tree survey requirement for this project, given that it is a field where the building would be going? Because otherwise, that would be an added expense to survey the area in terms of all the existing trees. And a lot of times that can be done in exchange for having a good landscaping plan that is sensitive to the surroundings and adequately buffers the use from adjoining land uses, functions, et cetera. Just something that was on my
Man,
mind.
when are we ever gonna use that tree thing?
Yeah,
I was just thinking the
Comments.
same thing. Since it's been established, everybody wants to have a waiver from it.
Yeah. Well, I think, I don't think it was imagined that it was gonna have quite this effect, but, what it has resulted in is it does provide an incentive to, design projects well, to try to constrict the footprint, the resulting development footprint as much as possible. So it is, I think it holds some leverage over the design outcomes, even if it isn't necessarily serving each and every existing tree.
When
I
I was
think-
just out there, most of the trees on that property looked like they were scrub trees. I didn't see that many really big trees in that area.
And this
But I
was at
think the purpose of the ordinance is to try and get people to design in ways that maintain some of those big trees, instead of taking them down and just clear cutting.
I would just like to say that, you know, it is, and this is not meant to assume anything about your project, but it definitely is a goal of this town that we're very environmentally sensitive, right? So I would just encourage you to minimize parking, you know, create as lovely and as landscaped area as you're able to, and, you know, then it becomes a kind of destination as well. I mean, it's like a mini park, or it's a destination for people on the trail. So I'm not ready to say anything about the tree survey because I've not been there, but, you know, I think whether or not that happens, I think that it's just, this would be a great opportunity to do a really lovely field landscape situation. So I hope.
Is that in the code now, that there are trees at big parking lots?
Yes, so there's, I kind of see it as separated between two main categories. There's tree preservation standards, which the tree
Right.
survey largely contributes to, and then there's tree planting requirements. And
Right.
those have been
course.
consistently enforced with plans. So there's a certain number of trees that get triggered for parking. When you build parking, you have to have it treed. There's a certain number of trees based on frontage, which in this case, the frontage is not really changing and it's also minimal, so it's kind of, yeah, we're basically gonna have to judge the plan through the conditional use process and the criteria. So there'll be ways in which we can, ask for certain things or request certain things to be done.
I was going to suggest intentionality with landscaping, but also the more natural, the better, because the whole idea is this is sort of a natural connecting trail between everything.
Yes.
So the
Yeah.
less, manufactured and the more natural,
The more you can shield it,
yes.
really.
A
from the
shielding of
trail.
natural forest trees from our list would be great.
And if you had a plan like that, then we might think the survey's not necessary because you're keeping what's already there.
I agree. If you were to say, we're gonna put 50 native trees in this boundary at the edge of the trail, except for this one opening where you make your connection, I think people would probably be amenable to that.
Yep.
And I just have one small question. Is your operation 9 to 5, or would you also have evening hours, or you don't know yet?
So most of the gym activity happens between like 6 a.m. and then 10 a.m. and then there's a big gap there in the middle.
Okay.
And then it's the before work and after work for the gym.
Okay.
And then the ministry side would be like in the evenings on the weekends when people are not working. and
Gotcha.
things.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, does anyone else have anything further to say about this plan?
No, I think you've done an excellent job.
Well, thank you. I tried.
I'll add something. Thank you for coming to us and
Yeah.
presenting. This seems like a great idea, and, the more you get in front of these things, the less problems it is for you, and the more it fits with everybody's idea of what the community should look like and function and everything
Yeah,
else.
those are some of the issues that we'll be looking at, so it's good to know what they are beforehand.
I appreciate your feedback.
Yeah.
Well, wonderful, and thank you, Bill, for the compliment. Would anyone like to move to adjourn?
I would. like to move
Would
to
anyone
adjourn.
like to second?
Second.
All right, everyone in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone say nay? No. Well then, we are now adjourned.
Cool. And good homework, Bill, on the water issues and speaking.